It has always been New York or nowhere for me. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is a little video that I've wanted to make for a while, and it is 20 things I've learned while living in New York City for 20 years. As of yesterday, August 26th, I've lived in New York City for 20 years. I was moving into my dorm at Eugene Lane College, and a bomb scare was being called into Union Square, where my dorm was, because the Republican National Convention was taking place in New York City that week. So that's a fun little memory. So I thought I would make a video about all the things that I've learned, or not all, but some of the things that I've learned that I don't often hear people talk about. And yeah, let's get into it. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know, do you live in New York City? Do you ever want to move here? Why do you not want to live here? Let me know. I thought I would insert a little clip of me here saying why I love living in New York so much. It's mostly the convenience and the fact that everything is here. Everything is a subway ride away. I can get to my grocery store in 1 minute via foot. I love never having to drive. I was a very bad driver for the 1 year that I drove. I love that there are so many different kinds of people here. I love that you can get any kind of food at any time of day or night. I love all of the indie cinemas and all the different kinds of movies that you can see. I love the people, sometimes, usually. I love that there's so much opportunity here. If you want to explore any topic or any hobby, you can probably find somewhere to do it and a meetup of people to do it with. And lastly, of course, I love it because I love going to see shows. Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway, regional, community, theater, anything. I think I've seen 37 shows so far this year, so that is especially convenient, and I can get home in 10 minutes instead of an hour and a half via the car or the, regional railroad. So that is a little bit about why I love living here and why it's so worth it to pay exorbitant amounts of money to do so. Number one, New Yorkers are nice. Despite our reputation for being like cold, heartless people, we are very nice. I once saw somebody crying on the subway. People couldn't rush to them fast enough to offer a tissue and ask if they were okay. That's just how it is. If somebody falls, people try to help them. New Yorkers are just nice, and we're here for one another. I dropped my earbuds at a Broadway show the other night, and they fell in front of the seat that was in front of me, and I asked the woman, who was an older woman, if she could reach down and get them, but the kid next to her was like, I'll do it. And then the woman next to me in my row, she immediately took out her cell phone and put on the cell phone light so that it could, so he could see better. So, and that was without asking these two people anything at all. So New Yorkers are nice. Number two, if somebody comes up to you on the subway and asks if they can ask you something, always say no. I once watched somebody on the C train get asked this by a random person, and I was like, oh, please say no. And they said, yeah, sure. And then they got a 15-minute soliloquy from this stranger. So if somebody who you don't know comes up to you and asks you if they can talk to you about something, say no. Just always say no to strangers on the subway. That's a good rule of thumb. Number three, no one cares as much about what you look like as you do. Everyone is too busy thinking about themselves. If you think you're going to be judged for wearing something out of the house or for how your hair looks one day, you're not. Trust me, nobody cares. Everyone's thinking about themselves. Number four, no bar or restaurant is worth waiting online to get into. Wait until the hype dies down. There are thousands of restaurants and bars in New York City. Don't wait in line to get into one. It's not worth it, I swear. Number five is never go into an empty subway car, especially in the summer. Usually it means the AC is out and it is about 105 degrees in there. If you don't see anyone in there on other times of the year, it probably doesn't mean anything good either. There's probably a deranged person that everyone left the car to avoid. Number six, Broadway doesn't have to be super expensive. I've made a video in the past about how to get cheap Broadway tickets, and Broadway is something that people just don't go out of their way to do while they live here unless it's something that they really love. I talk to people all the time who are not theater fans who are like, oh yeah, I should really go to more shows. And I'm like, yeah, you should. You live here. Take advantage of it, because when you move to Iowa one day, you're not going to have access to all this wonderful theater. Number 7 is make sure to rest. There will be dozens of events and things to do every night, and it won't matter if you take one night to stay at home and veg on the couch and watch Netflix. I promise you, you are not missing anything. Number 8, Whole Foods is far from the most expensive grocery store that we have here in the city. Gristedes, so overpriced. Westside Market's way more expensive. Trader Joe's is one of the cheapest, plus probably Aldi, maybe? There's not really an Aldi near me, so I don't go to it often, but Trader Joe's, Aldi, those are definitely the cheapest. Gristedes, Westside Market, definitely the most expensive. Whole Foods is not whole paycheck here. I've always found that the subway is pretty safe at night, despite what you will hear on the news. Just, you know, be aware of your surroundings, of course, always. Number 10, trust your gut always. If you're sitting next to somebody anywhere and you don't like the vibe they give off, please move. Move where you're sitting, where you're standing. The person who you're sitting next to and getting bad vibes from probably will not even notice, and they'll be like, great, more space next to me. Just trust your gut. You're probably right. Number 11, to no one's surprise, living in New York City is very expensive, but in my opinion, it's worth it. Number 12, missed connections work sometimes. It has worked for me once in the past, back in 2013. Number 13, there's no shame in doing the touristy stuff if you want to. It's touristy for a reason. I think everyone should experience the touristy things at least once when they move here. As the great poet Harvey Danger once said, if you're bored, then you're boring. So if you ever can't find an event or something to go to, just go be a tourist in your own neighborhood. There are cafes and restaurants and stores that you haven't even seen yet, I promise you. Number 15 kind of ties into one that I just said, but always be aware of your surroundings. I started carrying a little hot pink mace back in the spring when women were getting punched in the face while they were looking at their cell phones. This stuff happens everywhere. It just happens with more frequency here because there are so many more people. It's so much more densely populated. So people get murdered everywhere, people get mugged everywhere. It just happens more often here because of how many people we have. So be very aware of your surroundings and you will be fine. Don't be an idiot. And I'm not saying that people who have gotten mugged or whatever are idiots. If you're ever out and you're in need of a bathroom, just go into a restaurant that looks like it's busy, look towards the back like you're looking at your friend, and then just walk straight to the back. The bathrooms are usually in the back, if not downstairs, so they'll think you're there to meet a friend and you'll just go and use the bathroom. Number 17 is take the subway as often as possible. The subway here, though it has its issues, it's pretty great. I always see all these influencers taking Ubers everywhere when they live in really convenient areas of the city, and I'm like, what are you doing? You live in a place that has such a good public transport system and you're not utilizing it. Like, wear sneakers and bring your heels with you. I don't know what to tell you. Can you get from Wembley to East London for $2.90? I don't think so. Number 18 is you don't actually need that big of an apartment to rescue a cat from a shelter. I found that out when I rescued my first cat, Playbill, and I have 2 more now, and I have a about 700 square foot apartment, so cats don't need a lot of room. They would much rather be living in your small apartment where they have food, water, a friend, and a bed than in a shelter somewhere where they might be at risk for being euthanized. So go do it if you can. I might be biased, but the 1 train is the most reliable train line in the city. It is rarely ever delayed, and I think that is because it is not connected to any other lines. You can transfer to the L from it, but if the L stops functioning, it's not gonna screw up the 1 train. It never really has let me down yet. And you will stop 74 times from Washington Heights to the financial district, but at least the train will work and run. So and it's actually really efficient. Sometimes it's not even worth it to transfer to the express train from the one train when I'm going to work in the morning. Number 20, dating isn't actually that hard here. If you are upfront about who you are and what you want, and you're a good communicator, it's actually not that hard. It's also not that hard to make friends. Go get hobbies, go to meetups, go do things you like to do, and you will meet people who also like to do those things, and then you will make friends. So, and who knows, you might even date some of those people. And one bonus one, New York really is the greatest city in the world. I am completely biased. I decided I wanted to move here when I was 9, and I spent most of my childhood trying to convince my parents to move here, even though they work on Long Island. That never happened, but as soon as college applications came around, I was like, I'm good. 5 colleges I'm going to apply to in the city. Don't talk to me about Boston or DC or anywhere else. I am good. Just want to go to New York City. So people often say that they moved to New York City to go to college, but I went to college so I could move to New York City, if I'm being completely honest. So those are 20 things that I've learned since moving to New York City 20 years ago. Please let me know what you have learned since moving here. Let me know if you disagree with anything. And yeah, again, like this video, subscribe if you want, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.